Hello friends watching this video. I'm Jim Lai and welcome to my channel. Here I share life's little moments and offer brutally honest advice. Come on, join the fun and dive in. In March 2024, a news headline: 54% of young people consider themselves life's losers. Landlord makes the top 10 dream jobs for the first time. There's another popular belief that being a landlord is like running an unlimited money printing machine. Just sit back, count cash, and enjoy passive income. But in reality, this money printing machine sometimes breaks down and even explodes unexpectedly. Today, let's talk about the real side of being a landlord and see why it's not as easy as it seems. You might think collecting rent is effortless, but in reality, it's a constant battle with properties, tenants, and endless unexpected challenges. Let's dive into some of the most ridiculous landlord stories over the years. The first point is mortgage risk. Unless born under a lucky star or blessed with great fortune, most landlords rely on mortgage loans to purchase properties. They must cover monthly mortgage payments, and if the property stays vacant for too long, landlords may struggle to afford the loan, causing significant financial pressure. Here's a case. Lee Darren, an ordinary office worker, saved up some money with his wife and finally bought a 2-bedroom apartment in the city center for 14 million NT dollars. They planned to rent it out to cover the hefty mortgage payments. Their monthly mortgage was over 40,000 NT dollars. The rent is 30,000 NT dollars, barely enough to make ends meet. When they thought everything would go smoothly and their life would improve through property investment, a sudden change occurred. Darren's company unexpectedly announced layoffs and he became one of the victims. In just a few days, their once stable life turned upside down. The couple's savings were all used for the down payment, and as they got older, finding a job became more difficult. Despite Darren's attempts to supplement his income through other means, such as food delivery, the heavy mortgage pressure remained overwhelming. In the end, the bank began foreclosure proceedings due to the default. The house, which he and his wife had carefully chosen, became the bank's property. 2. Tenant issues. In reality, landlords face all kinds of tenant risks. From vanishing experts who disappear without paying rent to party kings who turn your house into a nightclub, tenants can be full of surprises. Even the best rental contracts can't prevent unexpected dramas. Being a landlord isn't about making money while doing nothing, it's about staying ready for anything. Let's dive into some crazy rental stories. Tenant scams rampant across the US. Malicious occupancy and property damage turn landlords into mortgage slaves. Ms. Chin's experience as a landlord turned into a long nightmare. In March 2021, after a male tenant moved out, his ex-girlfriend occupied the property, refusing to leave. She stopped paying rent, caused loud disturbances, damaged the house, and used marijuana in public areas. It took over 2 years, 3 lawyers, and 5 court hearings before Ms. Chun finally obtained a legal eviction order in October 2023. Another tenant, initially reliable, mimicked this behavior and refused to pay rent, demanding moving fees. Ms. Chun had to bear a 3-month rental loss and pay $5,000 to remove this tenant. Exhausted, she decided to sell the property, leaving behind the landlord business in New York. Her story reflects the challenges faced by many landlords and highlights the risks in the rental market, serving as a cautionary tale for property investors. Number 2. Tenant murder incident. The rental market hides hidden dangers, where landlords can find themselves on the brink of life and death with one wrong step. In recent years, shocking tenant misconduct, from rent evasion to violent murders, has shaken society. As trust collapses and conflicts escalate, the fragility of rental relationships is exposed, leaving landlords to question, is renting out property truly an investment or a dangerous gamble? In November 2023, a horrific tragedy unfolded in Fairfield, Bedfordshire, UK. 45-year-old tenant Scott Patterson, citing the pressures he was facing, brutally murdered his elderly landlord, 74-year-old Annette Smith. This woman, who should have been enjoying her later years in peace, was suffocated to death with a pillow in her own home, her life cruelly taken away. Patterson's atrocities did not end there. He coldly dismembered Smith's body using a saw and knives, then hid her remains in a storage locker in Hertfordshire. To cover his tracks, he impersonated Smith, sending emails, cards, and gifts to her family and friends in an attempt to create the illusion that she was still alive. The absurdity of his deception was revolting. However, Smith's relatives keenly noticed inconsistencies and eventually reported the matter to the police in January 2024. The police investigation that followed uncovered the full extent of the crime. Patterson not only stole and sold Smith's jewelry, but was also burdened with debts, amounting to £30,000. His actions revealed his ruthless exploitation of his landlord and his abuse of her trust. Chillingly, he had stood outside Smith's bedroom door multiple times, hesitating whether to commit the crime, but ultimately chose the irreversible path of murder. In November 2024, Patterson could not escape justice in court and was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 20 years. The judge sternly condemned his actions, describing them as a premeditated and inhumane crime. 3. Rental policies. The rental market plays an important role globally, not only providing living spaces for the public, but also influencing economic stability and social fairness. However, disputes and risks in rental relationships have led governments worldwide to implement policies to balance the rights of tenants and landlords. While these policies effectively protect vulnerable groups, they can also result in reduced landlord income or create gray areas. The following will explore rental policies and real-life cases in different countries. The preliminary comparison table covers the rental policies of the USA, Japan, Australia, and Taiwan, including rent control, tenant protection, contract terms, and deposit regulations. It analyzes policy differences and illustrates their impact on rental markets and tenant rights through real-life examples. Here's a simpler explanation of rent control in these 4 countries. In the United States, rent control is only used in some cities, like New York and San Francisco. These cities have rules to limit how much rent can go up, helping tenants avoid big rent increases. In Japan, there's no nationwide rent control. Rent changes depend on the market. Most leases last 2 years, and landlords must tell tenants in advance if they want to raise the rent. In Australia, there's no national rent control, but some states have rules. For example, in Victoria, rent can only go up once a year, and landlords must give tenants 60 days notice. Other states have similar rules to control how often and how much rent can increase. In Taiwan, rent is decided by supply and demand in the market. Landlords and tenants can agree on changes based on their contract. There's no law to limit rent increases, but the government provides rent help for low-income families. Is the story leaving you with a bunch of rental mysteries you're dying to solve? No worries. The comment section below is your stage. Feel free to drop your questions, rants, or share some wild rental stories. Oh, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Every new subscriber might just save me from another rent hike.